What's going on, guys? Different kind of video today. I hope you're buckled in, nestled, comfy, wrapped up in your little blanket at home. You've just got off a nice, long, hard day, hard shift of work. You don't really know what's going on. You've just come home. Your bitch of a wife is nagging you. You just want to relax, and you want to watch a YouTube video, but you don't know what. And maybe you'll watch a 1 hour FNAF theory video. Or maybe you just want to watch those quick little fucking 5-second clip things. Whatever it may be, I just hope you've landed onto this video. And you're going to have a fun time, hopefully, if you're into this kind of thing. I am a fan of doing reviews and that kind of thing. I've always been a fan of taking it quite seriously. I've always been that guy. You know, take the review quite seriously, write it down, follow pinpoints. That's the way I've kind of worked in the past. I thought I'd change it up. I'm going to be a little bit more lenient. I'm going to be relaxed. I'm going to just go off the cuff. Free will. And I'm just going to give my opinion on a movie. Today's movie is going to be Across the Spider-Verse. I would have said part 1, but it's getting changed now. I'm pretty sure the titles have changed. The next film isn't called Across the Spider-Verse Part 2. It's got like its own title. So, yeah, no need to do that. Yeah, I mean, guys, I think we should just go straight into it. Tell me if you like this style as well, if I'm just fucking balls to the wall in it and, you know, giving just straight up what's coming to my head. Whip the camera on, whip the mic on, just record, get what's out, you know, get your opinion out there. Or if you think I should stick to fucking Letterboxd, then, you know, write that in the comments too, you know, that'll be worth my time. Anyway. Let's get right into it. So, the first thing I would like to say about this movie, I will try and make one thing about these reviews a consistent occurrence throughout these videos. I'm just going to give it like a rating. And what I'm going to do is start off the review with my rating. Nobody ever does this. I don't know why. People always kind of like stick your opinion out. And then give you at the end, you know, what they give the movie. If you're here just to hear, for some reason, if you give a shit about my opinion in any way, shape, or form, and for some reason you just want to hear what number I give it, I'm going to start the video with that. I'm changing it up. I'm looking out for you guys in the comments that fucking write down, to save everyone's time, IGN gave it a 5. I'm going to save you guys the fucking hassle. I'm going to give this movie a solid out of 10. Out of 10 Spideys, I'm going to give this fucking 9 Uncle Bens. Okay, that's the way I'm doing it. The only reason I don't give certain movies, like, I'm kind of hard to give a movie 10. I honestly don't think I've ever seen a movie at a 10 rating. If I have, I can't think of it. Because I always look at, like, if I'm going to give a movie a rating, like, a 10 out of 10... like, it has to be, in my head, it has to be a movie which is just not even worth, like, making a review on. Because it would just be near impossible, because you'd have nothing to give. You'd have no points, negatives, or anything. And that's my idea of it. I can't really think of any. But this movie is a solid 10... shut the fuck. This movie is a solid 9 out of 10, man. 9 Uncle Bens for this bad boy. The only thing that, like, stops that full-on rating is something in particular. I'll get to that as I kind of, like, tell my review when I can work it in. Guys, this movie is an amazing story. It's an amazing woven tale of Spider-Man. It does an amazing job at interweaving the countless characters in this. You know, not all of them are focused on. You know, I'm not saying all of them are main characters, because they're not. And I'm not trying to say all of them are just as big as each other. But it does such a good job of taking these major characters, making them all in some way, shape, or form a leading drive for the movie. You know, Gwen is a major part in this one. She was the main she was the main part in the last film anyway, but like this one they've given her a lot more kind of a story, a lot more to like get behind her on. Obviously Miles, you know, gotta fuck with Miles. Even Spider-Man 2099, Miguel. So Miguel O'Hara, like, oh dude. I mean, I was a fan anyway. I should have got them out for this video. I didn't even think about it before I started recording. I have, like, when I first started collecting comics, which was not long ago, I guess it was maybe 2 years ago now. About 2 years ago, I've always bought comics. Like, I've always had comics as a kid. But when, you know, to collect comics, that was only about 2 years ago, to really start collecting them. And Spider-Man 2099 was my first series. That was one of my first series of comics to collect. And to finally see him put to the big screen, not only in the big screen, but like, man, like that theme. Like, I'm not going to put it in the video just because I think I'm going to get copyright from it. Just because that shit's so fucking good. But like, his theme has like that fucking... Like, if you go and watch like, Spider-Man, if you go and watch, Unlimited Spider-Man. Is it called Unlimited Spider-Man? I'm gonna fact check that real quick. Yeah, it is. Spider-Man Unlimited. Well, Spider-Man Unlimited. The theme is kind of the same. It's kind of like the same thing. Let me make sure it's still recording. There we go. Yeah, the theme is like the same notes, the same kind of like instrument, whatever's being used. But it's just so sick, man. Like, when he comes in... By the way, I'm just going to go full-on spoilers, but I probably should have said that at the beginning. Full spoilers. I'm not holding out for anything. That's why if I do give a review on a movie, I'll probably give it like a good... I'll give it like a good 3 days, I think, before I give a review. Just because, like, that's a decent amount. If you're nerd enough to watch one of my videos and to want to hear my full opinion... I think 3 days is a decent, like, little leeway into going to see the film. Yeah, man, like, oh, like, his theme is fucking amazing. He's amazing. Oh, his backstory's just cool as fuck. And, like, dude, like, just the whole thing, his voice is perfect. His whole suit, like, I've always been used to Spider-Man 2099 having... If you play the games... Which, like, that's the only other time we've really been able to see him, you know, in, like, not live action, but you know what I mean, like, full-fledged 3D animated kind of thing. And he's always, like, it's just a suit, you know, with, like, blue suit, red kind of things on it that, like, is up on the suit, and, like, that's it. This suit, like, is, like, it's the same, but it feels, I didn't realize how much I needed this suit. Like, I didn't realize how comic accurate it is without it even being really comic accurate. Like, it's glowing. It's got, like, glitching on it. It's got, like, nanotech kind of... I don't want to say nanotech. That's not right. But, like, it's just sick. Like, it's so futuristic. It glows. It's got, like, glitching parts. It's all kind of, like graphic, and it's so sick. Like, it's such a fucking cool suit. Who else we got? Spider-Punk. He's another kind of driving force, I guess. They don't really use him a lot, but he is a big thing at the end of the movie. He kind of like what pushes it into the second film, or into the third film. Sorry. They did a lot of fun with Ben Reilly. Oh man, they did him good justice. I mean, it was funny. Like, whenever you talk about, like, with nerds and comics, like comic nerds, people who actually read the comics, which by the way, I'm not about that. Like, if you're coming onto this video and you've not ever read comics, like, ever, and you just watch movies, that's totally cool. Like, I ain't got nothing against it. Like, if anything, you're about to get, like, a kind of a little thing on what, you know, you're about to hear from someone who does read comics, like these things that can kind of add the movie up for you, make it a little bit more spicy for you. Ben Reilly is a whole storyline in the comics. It's like the clone, like this whole clone arc in the Spider-Man comics, and it's just like, it's a whole meme at this point with with comic readers. It's just a whole meme, because it's such a dark, but it's also kind of boring, and it's so kind of, it's so like twisty turny, but so predictable in a way, and it's like, it's a whole joke. So to see Ben Reilly finally come to the screen and have just a full-on joke about him, where he's just, you know, constantly depressed and thinks he's badass, thinks he's sick, like flexing muscles and shit, like, you know, it's funny, it's cool. It was nice to have that nod to the fans, but then also have him genuinely be a character. Like, it's one of those things where I also see, when you watch a movie which is like very fan servicey, I don't mind fan service, don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna give me fan service, one, make it a good movie. Like, make it a movie that story is key, and you're making that a good fucking story. Don't just throw fan service in for the sake of it. And two, if you do throw a character in for fan service, try and make it work in some way. Like, don't just put it there. Genuinely try and give that character or that thing, whatever the fan service is, give it a reason. Make it better than fan service. Make it fan service, but with a key part to the story. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not that involved, but it's cool to see him actually be a Spider-Man that's picked and chosen by Miguel, and it's like, you're coming with me, we've got to do this. He's part of the team, and I like that, and I feel like we could see him a lot more in the next film too. Yeah, I like that. I really did like seeing that. And the amount of other characters you get to see as well, just later on, like ones I can't even go into. Obviously, like T-Rex Spider-Man, or like Spider-Rex, and Spider-Slinger. There's so many. Like, I can't even think of them all. Spider-Car. That's one I can say I've never heard of. Whether that was made up for the movie, I don't know. But, I mean, that was, yeah, stupid, but I loved it. Lego Spider-Man. He makes a fun little appearance. I kind of wanted him to be a main character. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like that would be really fun to see, like, animated side by side with the other characters. That might just be me. And, like, the idea that Miguel calls him in that scene where you see him and he's, like, stupid as fuck. Like, bip, 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 like, making noises and shit with his mouth. Trying to make him, get into contact with Miguel, telling him, like, all of it. And Miguel just says to him, like, thanks, Spidey, like, you're our number one. What did he say? He said some bullshit, like, you're our best man, or something like that. I would have liked to see him, like, become more involved in the story. And just see him being a Lego character. Like, that would have just been so funny to me. I would have loved it. Just seeing him, like, jump around rooftops and shit, like a little Lego, whether even, like, make him a big Lego guy, so don't even make him a tiny man, like, make him genuinely the size of the other character, or maybe, like, Spider-Ham size, you know, that, I thought that would have been funny. I hope they can do something like that in the next one, because that was quite a funny character. I feel like they didn't utilize him enough, not that they needed to, but, you know, I would have liked to see it. Damn, like, with that out the way, let's go on to Spot. Like, god damn, dude. Like, so for those who have never, like, seen Spot before as a villain, he's always been quite serious. Like, he's always been, I'm not gonna say he's, like, the craziest villain now. He is pretty OP, but he has never been, like, he never had kind of, from at least what I've seen, like, a true backstory kind of, like, fully fledged thing. And he's never, like, had, like, a comedic side to him. He's never had that. He's just a villain, you know, once again, just a villain. But, like, in this movie, man, like, they really fledge him out so nice. Like, you feel so bad for him. He's just so powerful. He's actually creepy, especially later on in the movie when he really gains his powers and his voice starts to go really dark and deep, and you just know what he's up to. It's so creepy, and you genuinely get scared for, like, Miles, because he is... that dude gonna have to do some crazy shit in the next film, put it that way. Like, he has to. Like, there's got to be some shit going down. I have my opinion, I have my idea on what I think will happen later in the films. I'll get to that when I get to it. But overall, like, they just did him so much justice. And not only is he creepy and genuinely a good villain, but he's not really a villain. Like, when you watch him throughout the movie and you notice, like, if you just listen to the little things he says about no one ever knows what it's like to be on the other side, and like, of that, you know, when Spider-Man's joking around, nobody ever knows what it's like to be the other guy. And like, what else does he say? I'm trying to think of the different stuff that he comes out with. Oh yeah, just like when he's talking about how Spider-Man ruined his life. Like, his kids don't like him anymore. His kids are afraid of him. His family's afraid of him. His wife, I think he said, like, his wife's gone now. He doesn't have a job because he can't. Because he, obviously, everything he touches, obviously he's creepy looking, but like, everything he touches leaves portals. So he can't really work anywhere. And he has to resort to, like, stealing to get money and to, like, to survive. Whether he's doing it for his family, I don't know, but just so much about him is so sad and, like, depressing. And Spider-Man just doesn't give a fuck. I'm not gonna lie to you. Miles Morales, like, just doesn't give a shit. Like, I don't know if it's just because he doesn't hear him properly, but they're in the shop. He's making it pretty goddamn clear, and Miles just doesn't do shit. So I think that's what will be kind of the main driving force in the next film, is that Miles needs to understand that... I tell you what, I'll get to that later. I was about to go on to it now. I'll get to that at the end. But yeah, he's just... They did him so much justice. Can't wait to see whatever he gets up to in the next film. God damn. Even Miles' story in this film. Just... He is quickly becoming my favorite Spider-Man, I think. Like, I love Peter Parker. Don't get me wrong. He's the GOAT. He's always going to be the GOAT. And all these other different Spider-Men. But Miles is... I'll let you in on a little something. I'll let you in on a little something. Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, or Into the Spider-Verse, sorry. Great film. Love it. Once again, I'd give that movie an easy 9 out of 10, or 8 out of 10. And only an 8 out of 10 because this movie, I think, is better. And I like him in that movie. I do like Miles. Then you get Miles in the video game, and he is complete dog shit. I don't like him. I think he's cringy. I think it's a corny game, which, you know, is fine. I can live with corn. I'm not joking. Like, I can live with corn. Like, I'm one of the biggest fucking Superman comic fans over here, and those comics can get real corny. Like, so I'm a fan of corn, but dude, there's something about the game that's just too corny for me, and it's too cringy. I don't like Miles in that game. Really don't. Like, I can't wait for Spider-Man 2, the next game that's going to be coming out. I'll definitely be playing it, just because the games overall are amazing. And even Spider-Man Miles Morales, the game, like, is amazing. But, yeah, him in that game is so cringy. That kind of put me off. So when this movie was coming out, I was in the mindset of, right, Miles isn't really one of my biggest characters. And, you know, like, I'll go into it. I can't wait to see what happens. And just from this film, man, like, once again, they do it so much justice. Like, he is quickly becoming one of my favorite Spider-Men. And I love the idea in this movie with him not being able to save his dad. Well, you know, he's trying to break that, but with them telling him that he can't save his dad, and with him just being like, fuck that, I'm gonna go and do what I want. Fuck you guys. Like, you guys are fucking stupid. You talk about being heroes, but then you're just going to let someone die knowing that they will die just simply because it drives a canon and it drives a story. Obviously, they have their reasons, because Miguel says it's going to, like, destroy multiverses and shit like that, and it will collide, it will destroy the whole thing. But we have had examples of stuff that isn't meant to happen. For example, his world, you know, Miles' world, where that was not meant to happen, and it's still there. That world is still there. So, I think it gives a good... I like that the movie gives you a good enough kind of thing to get on board with Miles, and it's not just him being a dick. If it was simply like, these worlds will be destroyed, I'm not gonna lie to you, I would not be on Miles' side. Like, I'd be like, dude, you're a douchebag. Like, yeah, you don't want your dad to die, but you gotta, like, see the bigger picture in all of this. I like that there is a bigger picture, and the world could be destroyed. I'm not saying it can't be, but at the end of the day, his world hasn't. So just Miles' existence being Spider-Man is enough proof to show that that can't always happen, or that won't always happen. How they kind of push that later on in the films, or in the next film, I don't know, but, you know, I can't wait to see it. I really can't wait to see how they do that. And I think that's kind of what leads me to my last-ish point, which is, you know, the ending with Miles meeting himself and him becoming the Prowler in Earth 42. If you watch the movie, you'll understand that the spider that bit Miles in the first film wasn't actually meant to bite him, obviously, because it was brought across from another multiverse or another universe. And it was meant to bite, I'm not going to say Miles specifically, but I'm going to assume Miles from Earth 42. And that would have given them their Spider-Man. And Miles is the one, our Miles, his world already had a Spider-Man. So by him getting bitten by the spider and him intervening with the fight with Spider-Man and Green Goblin, if you remember that in the first film, and obviously Kingpin shows up, fucking shoots Spider-Man's brains out, that ruins that world. So that world, it basically, Miles becoming Spider-Man and getting bit by the spider led to the death of Peter Parker in his world. So, if he was not to get bit, that world would still have a Spider-Man. Meaning that, yeah, Miles may become the Prowler, because that could have led to certain events, which leads him to become the Prowler. But at the end of the day, that world would still have a Spider-Man, meaning that, let's face it, you know, I'm not going to say it'd be amazing, but, you know, it would have a Spider-Man. It'd have a hero looking out for it. This world, Earth 42, has no Spider-Man. It's never had a Spider-Man, and it, you know, nobody knows what that name is. I can't wait to see how they deal with that, because with Miles, our Miles, becoming Spider-Man, and I'm going to assume it means that he would have become Prowler if he didn't get bit. You know, at some point or time, he would have become the Prowler. Because, you know, he wouldn't have become Spider-Man. I like to think that that's going to be the, you know, I like to think that's going to be the idea of what they use for the next film. That our Miles was always meant to be the villain. And it just goes to show that you're not born a villain. You can just be a good person. Sometimes you can fall down a dark path. Sometimes you can forget what's going on, forget what's up, forget the goodness in you, and kind of be a little bit unfocused. But at the end of the day, you can always be a good person, and you can always choose the right thing to do. It's just knowing when to do it, and, you know, just knowing that, right, this is wrong, I shouldn't do this. That's, I think that's going to be the lesson taught to the Miles from Earth 42, is that, yeah, you're bad, and I'm sure they have their reasons. You know, with New York being fucked up in their world, I'm sure they have their reasons for being I'm sure he has his reason for being the Prowler. Just to survive, get food, whatever it is. You know, his family, like, we get to see Uncle Aaron go into the kitchen and hand her food, and I think he hands her money as well, his, you know, Miles' mum. And she's like, thank you, and he's like, no, don't mention it, we're family. You know, that's what we do for each other. So, they are clearly not well off. They are clearly in a bad state on that world. And you've got to take all of that into consideration, meaning that our Miles Morales, he's probably, I mean, you know, Earth 42's Miles Morales probably isn't a bad person. He's just someone that's left in a world with no Spider-Man, left to a destroyed New York, and that's his only option. Just like what happened to Uncle Aaron in our world, you know, our universe that we've been watching. Don't get me wrong, yes, it had a Spider-Man, but Uncle Aaron obviously felt like he needed to do that, because that's kind of the whole thing we learn. And I think we're going to see the Miles from that Earth 42 realize that that's also, like, I think we're going to realize that's his situation too, that he doesn't need to be that. It's just the situation he's in. He feels like he's stuck there and he can't get out. And that's what's going to help them. And I feel like that's going to be what the driving force is to save the Spot too, because I feel like it's going to be Miles needs to realize, and not just Miles, just the Spider-Man in general, because there's this whole idea on we're the good guys, and we do this because we have to, we do this. I think the next idea will just be a bigger, fledged out version of what was happening in No Way Home. With the villain doesn't have to be the villain. We can always save the villain. That, you know, they're only a villain because no one's there to help them. If we can give them the same amount of help then that we give to, you know, other people, we could save them. It's never too late. I feel like that's going to be what the driving force is for the Spot in the next film. That, yeah, he's had a fucked up life, and Miles did ruin it, but there's always a way out, and Miles has just got to admit that he's the one in the wrong. Spot isn't the villain. Like, let's just, I mean, he is, but Spot wouldn't have done what he's doing right now if Miles didn't treat him as a joke and ruin his life. Like, imagine if some dude, like, imagine if you're just like, your life gets fucked up. Imagine some dude fucks your girl, like, somehow, like, steals all your money, your family don't want to see you no more, and, like, lies about you. Let's just say there's some guy in the world just does this shit to you and fucks you up. And then you realize that this guy doesn't even know who you are. Like, I don't know about you, but I'd be fucking fuming. Like, I would be absolutely fucking outraged. Like, I'd be on that shit. You've got to understand, that is basically Spot's point of view here. Like, he is just a dude that's had his life ruined by some guy that doesn't even know he exists. Like, the whole movie, he's telling him, like, I'm your nemesis. I'm, you know, you're the reason I'm like this. And Miles is like, dude, I don't even know who you are. Like, that shit's so deep. I hate, like, you know, it's just so fucked up. So I think Miles needs to understand in the next movie that he isn't the one in the right. He's done something wrong. And with especially his dad kind of saying you need to be a bigger role model in this film, when he has that little one-on-one with his dad. Obviously he's in the Spider-Man suit, so his dad doesn't know it's him. But his dad's like, and you need to be a better role model. He's like, oh, well, I'm an amazing role model. And you see that all the destruction he's left behind fighting the, you know, the Spot. I feel like that's kind of what was hinting at it, was Miles in the next film needs to learn that he isn't always right. And yeah, whether he fights and whatever he chooses to do isn't always the right thing to do. You don't always have to fight to win. You know, you can just know right from wrong and know the place of what's happening, know the story, and just try to understand the people around you. That can obviously mean a lot to someone. I think that, personally, in my opinion, that's going to be what the main driving force for the next film is. Apart from that, I don't really know what else to say about this film. The soundtrack was amazing. Like, once again, just a great soundtrack. Like, I got out that cinema and I was just right on my phone, listening to that shit. Like, I was just listening to the whole album. If you haven't heard it yet, go and listen to it. There's some songs on it which are a bit, but, like, the ones that slap, fucking slap. The animation, I don't even have to say that. Like, go and see this film. If not for the story, if you're not a Spider-Man fan, just the animation alone is so nice. And it does such a good job of intermingling the different animation styles and just driving them all together. Like, it is unbelievable. I never thought I never truly thought I would see a movie as well animated as this. Like, I can only imagine this is how people felt when, like, Toy Story came out. I guess Toy Story or A Bug's Life, no, it was Toy Story. I can't remember if it was Toy Story or A Bug's Life. I think it was Toy Story. Yeah, Toy Story was the first Pixar, like, you know, Pixar 3D animated movie to come out. I can only imagine this is how people felt watching that film when it came out. Was this crazy kind of, wow, I had no idea you could even do this into a film. That's the only way I can really describe it. It was fucking breathtaking. It was just insane. There's so many parts in the movie that I would genuinely, no joke, frame. If I could get it like good quality print, I would get that shit framed in my bedroom. Easily. No debate about it. I'm gonna give it definitely a 9 out of 10. Hopefully that next movie can carry the trilogy to the end, because I feel like this trilogy is definitely on its way to being one of the best trilogies ever made. I'm not going to say ever made as in it's number one, but, you know, I have a set list of trilogies that I consider amazing trilogies, you know, like worthwhile trilogies. Obviously, you've got Spider-Man. I would say Spider-Man 1. I'm not going to like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. I would actually say that. Yeah, number 3 isn't great, but I feel like the other two are just so good, it just drives it anyway. And number 3 is fun. And I grew up with it. You know, I was a kid when Spider-Man 3... I was a Tobey Maguire kid, so... I remember going to the cinema to watch Spider-Man 3. So I feel like that also has a lot to play into that trilogy for me. With Back to the Future, you know, I consider that an almost great... like, an almost perfect trilogy. Star Wars, the original trilogy, I consider that once again, like, just a great trilogy. I feel like this definitely might be up on its way to being on that list of great trilogies that have ever been made. Guys, bye!